This story takes place over 15 weeks on the Arctic islands of Svalbard. (79° north latitude) is near the top, at the cold edge of the world. In the winter, when temperatures plunge below freezing, there is complete darkness at noon. During summer, the sun shines at midnight. There is no place to hide. Danger is everywhere. Life on Svalbard is intense. So is the hunger that burns inside this female polar bear. She eats seals that live on sea ice. But this spring she cannot find them anywhere. The pack ice has not arrived. The bear needs food this summer, and she needs to store fat for the coming winter. If her icy world grows warmer, will she survive in the Arctic? It's tough to survive in Svalbard. During much of the year, white stretches in every direction. Temperatures plummet to -46°C, and the Arctic is prone to sudden strong winds. Svalbard means cold edge in Norwegian, which perfectly describes this Arctic desert. (1,100 kilometers south of the North Pole, the Svalbard archipelago pushes into the Arctic Ocean. Norway's gateway to the pole is a group of 9 main islands, bordered on the west by the Greenland Sea. Nearly 39,000 square kilometers of frozen wilderness are topped by knife-edged mountains that are sliced to sheer cliffs. Surging glaciers carve blue paths down to finger-like fjords. Spitsbergen is the largest island in the chain, and it's where most of the inhabitants live. It is home to Benna, an ice bear. She's also known as a polar bear, and Benna means female bear in Norwegian. Ice bears live only in the Arctic. More than 2,000 of them are found here in Svalbard. This far north, food is scarce. From Late August until mid-March, Svalbard is almost totally dark. Finding food becomes even more difficult. During the coldest months, Binna bows to the Arctic cycle. She doesn't hibernate, but she slows her body down to conserve energy. When she enters this state, she can survive until spring without eating, if she's stored enough fat. By the time April arrives, Binna is ravenous. Her first meal is a less fortunate resident, a reindeer that didn't survive the harsh winter provides her with a little sustenance during the first thaw. She scavenges the remains under the newly returned sun. Then she begins to hunt. Every year, spring is the most crucial time for all ice bears of Svalbard. It's when flat pieces of dense frozen sea break free and start drifting towards the Svalbard Islands. The drift ice mixes with ice that's formed near the shore during winter. The mix is called pack ice, and it's where Arctic seals haul out to rest and give birth. Spring ice is perfect for the hungry ice bears. This is when the bears enter a new cycle of hunting for the coming year. Ice bears use the pack ice as a platform to reach and kill the seals. Seals make up 75% of their diets. Last spring, Binna ate 20 seals during a period of 2 months. She replaced weight lost during the previous winter and stored enough calories to survive the next cold spell. The thick layer of blubber in Arctic seals enables her to add the necessary fat quickly. By the end of spring, Binna weighs 230 kilograms. She gains half of this over just a few months. She lives off her added bulk for the rest of the year and shrinks to 115 kilograms by the end of winter. Binna has a short window to find and eat seals. By summer, the pack ice is gone. The seals swim back out to sea. Binna's neighbor is Rev, which means fox in Norwegian. Rev is the ultimate opportunist. He scavenges the bear's leftovers. When Binna hunts, Rev follows at a safe distance, ready to steal scraps. In the Arctic, nothing is wasted. Binna prefers seal blubber, so Rev eats the meat. Between them, they consume the entire seal quickly. Binna and Rev both live in Kingsfjord, on Spitsbergen's northwest coast. This spring, neither the bear nor the fox have tasted seal yet. There is something very wrong in their home. March and April were strangely warm, and now it's May. Binna's seal hunting grounds are nowhere to be found. With summer fast approaching, the ice and its bounty may never appear. The pack ice should have arrived by now, but there was only an endless stretch of sea. While Binna waits, narwhals and beluga whales pass by, feeding on fish below. The whales have plenty of food, but ice bears don't hunt fish. Binna needs to gain a lot of weight in less than 3 months. If she doesn't eat, she may not live another year. Binna is 4 years old. She has seen 3 Svalbard springs, and each has provided her with seals to eat. But this year, Binna has been waiting in vain. She may starve in her own home. She needs to move. Four weeks have passed in Svalbard. For the first time in her life, Binna can't hunt seals near her home. The ice bear is surrounded by glaciers. They cover 60% of Svalbard. But glacier ice is different from the ice that forms to make Binna's seasonal hunting ground. Arctic seals need thick, floating pack ice to build dens and to support their weight when they rest. Binna looks for flat pieces of pack ice near shore. It's almost June, and she sees only open ocean. As the area warms, the ice and its seals do not come. As Binna wanders, she searches for anything at all to eat. Svalbard's rocky islands have few residents and little vegetation. But the fjords and seas around the islands teem with life. Beluga whales find small fish. And bowhead whales graze on a bounty of plankton and krill. Summer also brings birds. Overhead, their noisy arrival sends a signal to Binna. She follows their calls 110 kilometers south to a popular nesting site called Bjorndalen. It's located in the middle of a fjord. Nearly 30 species of birds migrate to Svalbard every summer. The birds build their nest near the shore and feed from the sea. When Arctic terns land, they're tired from their annual 34,000-kilometer trip from Antarctica. Their journey is the longest undertaken by any migrating bird. The terns set up camp at the first spot they see. Little auks also spend most of their life away from Svalbard. When they arrive, 1 million migrating pairs build their nests high on the cliffs. Rev manages to follow Binna to Bjorndalen. His snowy fur is in tatters. The summer brown shows in places where he's shedding his winter coat. He's not simply shabby. The change renders him invisible on the snow-spotted hillside. Arctic foxes steal and eat the eggs of incoming birds. They dig their own freezers and hide food for when they'll need it most. Rev can wait for his meal. But Binna must eat now. Because the nests are on the ground, Arctic tern eggs are easy for her to find. But despite Binna's great size and strength, the terns fiercely defend their nests. They attack her. Finally, Binna manages a few eggs for herself. They keep her alive, for now. Eggs don't provide enough fat for her body to store. She needs a food source rich in blubber, but she hasn't found it yet. 4 weeks of summer have now disappeared. Only 7 remain before darkness and cold return. Binna is behind schedule to store the precious calories that will keep her alive through the next winter. Your territory. In order to survive, she must seek another source of fat, on land or from the sea. Binna the ice bear has been searching the Arctic tundra for 8 weeks. Deprived of her normal seal meals, she looks for an alternative. While she searches, Rev hunts on the mountainside. He is less desperate than the bear. but he has new responsibilities. The fox has found a mate in Bjorndalen. She hides in a cliffside den, preparing for their litter of pups. Arctic foxes bond for life. Now, Rev must provide for his new family. He spots a vole outside its burrow and considers the potential meal. The rodents find ways to prosper around Bjorndalen. Rev doesn't give chase today. Voles move very fast. There are easier meals. The eggs have hatched. Rev takes full advantage of the opportunity. During a normal year, ice bears hunt several types of Arctic seals. Ringed seals are their first choice. They're the most abundant, and their pups stay in ice dens for several weeks. If a seal is distracted, the bear sneaks up and kills it. Bearded seals are bigger but more difficult to capture. They live in the cold Arctic Sea and only use pack ice for brief periods. Ice bears spend much of their 20 years searching the ice floes for seals to eat. But the seals are so clever and fast that they escape 98% of the time. Seals use their whiskers to stay on high alert. Their bristly faces can detect vibrations around them. When they sense danger, they vanish. Ice bears rely on their exceptional sense of smell to look. First, they sniff the air. Their noses can locate a seal on the ice miles away. After closing the distance, they smash through the pack ice. When ice bears find their target, it's over quickly. Ice bears also wait patiently. When a seal surfaces at a breathing hole, they kill it with a bite to the head. In a relatively short time, polar or ice bears evolved from their close brown cousins. Only a few 100,000 years ago, glaciers isolated a handful of brown bears. They adapted a number of physical changes in order to survive. they developed longer necks to peer over the ice. Their small ears are less likely to freeze, and thick fur on the bottoms of their feet provides warmth as they travel over ice. Every day, some of Svalbard's bears cover kilometers of Arctic wilderness. Others, like Binna, prefer to stay closer to their birthplace. Desperate, she has now traveled over 100 kilometers from her home. Bjorndalen is warmer than Kingsfjord, and Binna is uncomfortable. Some of her Arctic adaptations are useless in an iceless world. The bottoms of her feet have bumps that provide extra traction on ice, but don't help her on soft earth. Her webbed toes give her an advantage when swimming. But there are no ice floes with seals in the distance today. Binna's white coat makes her nearly invisible to seals on the ice. She stands out like a beacon against Bjorndalen's summer landscape. Each hair is a hollow tube that absorbs sunlight and traps warmth against her skin. Her body is so well insulated that the only visible heat loss is near her nose. Binna struggles in the strong sun, but others revel under it. The bird population thrives. Rich plankton blooms feed new species of tiny fish. Offshore, a few sperm whales explore the warmer waters. The 27-ton behemoths follow the mild Gulf Stream north. Whales have more blubber than seals, but even small ones are too difficult for Binna to capture in the open sea. Binna is the only resident dependent upon extremely cold weather and the appearance of Arctic seals. If she is to survive, she must find a new source of food. Svalbard reindeer mow the Arctic floor 14 hours of every day. This summer's lush greenery also gives them a boost. Before the end of summer, both these males will gain close to 20 kilos. They're already so fat they can barely move. On Svalbard, they have little need for speed. The islands have no natural predators, like wolves. But Binna is famished. Ice bears rarely hunt the native reindeer, but in extreme circumstances it can happen. Now they are Binna's only potential source of enough fat on the Arctic tundra. Catching a reindeer will be difficult. Although Binna is a finely tuned predator, her size and insulation limit her speed in the heat. She can't run far or fast because she might overheat and die. In order to eat today, she needs luck. reindeer are much faster than Binna, and they escape. Binna is worn out. She has only 4 weeks left to build up her fat reserves. Soon the days will grow dark and snow will start to fall. What little food exists now will be gone. There is nothing more for Binna in Bjorndalen. Facing starvation, she must rely on her instincts to lead her to food somewhere on the island. Weak with hunger, she is also vulnerable to an even deadlier, invisible threat. She has nothing left to lose. Before leaving Bjorndalen in late July, Binna rests on the mountainside. She's just a few kilometers from Svalbard's major coal mining operation. Most of the year, snow covers the thick black veins of carbon that bisect the islands. But during this warmer summer, Svalbard's prehistoric past can be seen in the exposed geology. Miners plunder coal from the mountains year-round. Svalbard produces nearly 2 million tons of coal every year. Binna's home is a source of the fossil fuel that is linked to global warming. Coal is burned around the world, and carbon dioxide produced in the process collects in the Earth's atmosphere. Some of the sun's heat that would normally be reflected back into space can't escape through the thick layers of greenhouse gases. The Earth's surface grows warmer. Temperatures in the Arctic have risen several degrees in the last decade. There is only 1 degree difference between freezing and not. The last 8 years include 6 of the warmest periods on record. In recent years, global warming has caused Arctic summer sea ice to shrink by 20%. The sea ice now forming at the North Pole is thinner and breaks up sooner. If Arctic temperatures continue to rise, Binna and other resident ice bears will not have pack ice or seals. But for all of the locals here, coal mining is just one of their enemies. There are other dangers. Throughout the year, invisible killers stalk the Arctic Circle. Svalbard is located in the path of major air currents. The currents gather pollutants from around the world and dump them throughout the region. These pollutants seep into the system. One way or another, all the animals that live here are exposed to toxins. Carnivores, like bisque, Arctic foxes have the largest litters of all carnivores. This summer, Rev and his mate have produced 9 frisky pups. They grow quickly and are almost independent. The seabirds they're learning to hunt are full of poisons. Hidden beneath rugged blue glaciers and snowy peaks lies a fragile wilderness. The seas surrounding Binna's island home are some of the most polluted in the Arctic. Tainted waters pose even greater dangers for ice bears. Ocean currents travel northward, then deposit their payload of pollutants into the Greenland and Barents Seas. Fish take in the contaminants when they eat plankton. When Arctic seals prey on the fish, the poisons collect in their blubber. Ice bears are at the top of the food chain. When they eat Arctic seals, they take in accumulated doses of toxic chemicals. These poisons damage the sensitive systems of the big white ice bears. This year, Binna is unable to catch a single seal. But she must eat soon, or she will die. By mid-August, Svalbard's air starts to cool. Binna leaves Bjorndalen behind, still searching for something to eat. Rev and his family stay. The foxes scavenge trash near the coal mine before the winter comes. They never miss any opportunity for food. Safe for now, the reindeer are still wary. Despite their swollen bellies, nearly 20% of them will starve during the long, dark winter. Life and death in the Arctic are intrinsically bound. Binna travels south. She scales mountains and swims along the coastline. Worn out, she perseveres for nearly a week. She is fueled by her instincts alone. During the same week, a large sperm whale dies in non-native waters. At last, after a long swim through the iceless sea, Binna arrives in a remote fjord, 160 kilometers from her birthplace on the northwest coast. She gazes at an amazing sight. 27 tons of blubber. She now has enough food to survive for a year. Whales have even more blubber than seals. It's Binna's first bite of substantial food in months. For most of the day, she has the carcass to herself. Then other ice bears appear. A mother and 2 young cubs slide down to the whale feast. The small bears are enthusiastic. They still nurse, but eat their fill of fat. Binna finally has a full belly. She heads up the hillside for a nap. Soon, more ice bears arrive from the beach. This new female has older cubs. They're still protected by their mother, but by next spring, they will have to fend for themselves. Suddenly, a huge male appears. He's clearly hungry. While his intentions seem harmless, a smaller mother bear chases him from the carcass. The newcomer must approach with respect. Finally, the lone male is allowed to eat. As long as the whale lasts, Binna and the other 7 bears will have food. Ironically, the same destructive warming trend behind Binna's lack of seals could be responsible for the timely gift of the dead whale. Toothed whales like this one eat fish and squid that live in deep, cold water. As the ocean warms, fish from the south may school farther north and closer to Svalbard. Hunting whales might follow them. This visitor has saved Binna's life, probably the lives of the other ice bears. But whales won't wash up on the shores of Svalbard every summer. If the Earth's temperatures continue to rise, all ice bears in Arctic neighborhoods will struggle to survive. Arctic gets much warmer, they may perish. As this summer draws to a close, Svalbard's locals face familiar challenges and new ones. The reindeer will search the new snow for grass. The voles will settle into their burrows. And Rev's offspring will face their first Arctic winter. Binna and the other ice bears will stay near the dead whale until it freezes solid. Perhaps Binna will accept the lone male as her first mate. In the Arctic, one thing is certain. Only the strongest and luckiest will live to see the next spring.